Good evening. It's Saturday, the 27th of December. You're tuned in to our 6 p.m. newscast coming to you from Arirang's news centre in Seoul. It's great to have you with us. I'm Mark Broome. Our top story this evening, North Korea says the United States was responsible for its recent internet outage. In a sternly worded tirade, Pyongyang also slammed Washington for allowing the release of the film The Interview and rejected claims it was behind the cyber attack on Sony Pictures. The North didn't stop there either, hurling a racist comment towards US President Barack Obama. Hwang Ji-hye starts us off.
As was to be expected, North Korea has accused the United States of launching a cyber attack that shut down its internet earlier this week. In a strongly worded statement Saturday, Pyongyang also reiterated that it was not behind the cyber attack on Sony Pictures, which released the comedy film The Interview, which depicts the assassination of North Korean leader Kim Jong-un. It also demanded the U.S. provide evidence to back up its accusation. The North's powerful National Defense Commission called the movie illegal, dishonest, and reactionary, and referred to U.S. President Barack Obama as a monkey living in a tropical forest. Pyongyang went on to make vague threats against the U.S., saying the movie was part of Washington's hostile policy against North Korea. The White House has yet to respond to the North's comments. North Korea experienced a complete internet shutdown on Tuesday, and although connectivity was largely restored on the same day, some websites are still experiencing problems. U.S. officials say Washington played no part in the outages, but the FBI has accused North Korea of being responsible for the hacking attack on Sony in late November. The movie The Interview, that made a last-minute push to U.S. cinema screens after the cyber attack, made more than $1 million on the first day of its release. The comedy was shown in more than 330 mostly independent theaters after major movie chains refused to screen it due to security concerns. Hwang Ji-hye, Arirang News.
And Sony's PlayStation network is still down after an alleged cyber attack, leaving thousands of people who got brand new PlayStation game consoles for Christmas unable to play their games online. The PlayStation network has been offline now for 3 straight days. A hacker group called Lizard Squad claims it launched the attack on Christmas Day. This same group also took credit for attacking Microsoft's Xbox Live service. That, however, is now back up and running. Neither Sony nor Microsoft have commented on what might have disrupted their networks. In a tweet, Sony Online Entertainment only said that it was working to restore full network services for all platforms and thanked users for their patience. Analysts say it will be very difficult to trace who was behind the attacks or confirm the hacking group's claims of responsibility. Back here in Korea, and a memorial ceremony for the victims of April's ferry sinking was held in Korea's western port city of Incheon earlier today. Around 450 people, including the family members of some of the victims, were there to pay their respects. Prime Minister Jung Hong-won and the mayor of Incheon were among the public officials attending the ceremony. The Seoul ferry, which departed from Incheon, sank on April 16th while it was en route to Jeju Island. To date, 9 people remain missing and 295 people, mostly high school students, have been confirmed dead. Now, the number of vehicle crash fatalities in Korea is expected to be fewer than 5,000 this year. The National Police Agency says that, as of December 24th, traffic-related deaths were down more than 6.5% compared to the same period last year, at 4,647. Estimates suggest that deaths from auto accidents will amount to some 4,800 by the end of the year. The last time fewer than 5,000 people died in traffic-related accidents in a single year in Korea was all the way back in 1977. Police officials say that while the number of motor vehicle deaths in Korea is steadily on a downward trend, it's still pretty high compared to the United States and Europe. Now, a centuries-old mural that proves Korea sent envoys to Uzbekistan via the Silk Road has been fully restored and is now on display for the public to see with their own eyes. Our Kim Min-ji has this report.
Samarkand in Uzbekistan is one of the oldest cities in Central Asia. When the Al-Fushia Palace was discovered there in 1965, they also found a mural that depicts what are believed to be 2 Korean envoys from the Goryeo dynasty to Uzbekistan in the 7th century. Their nationality has been a question of debate, but their hats, which were decorated with birds' feathers, and the ring pommel swords around their waists suggest they were from the Goryeo era.
It is speculated that General Yeonge Somun of Goguryeo sent the envoys in an attempt to improve relations with the king of Seok and gain support in the fight against the Tang dynasty.
The team successfully restored the painting after 2 years using state-of-the-art technology.
Using a digital microscope, we scanned all the mural and in the process mapped out the pigments.
The replica of the mural is currently on display at the National Museum of Korea. Kim Min-ji, Arirang News.
Now, Ukraine and pro-Russia rebels in the east of the country are carrying out more prisoner swaps on this Saturday, completing an all-for-all deal agreed earlier in the week. The two sides exchanged scores of prisoners on Friday in an extremely rare sign of cooperation. Ukraine says 146 of its soldiers have been freed for 222 rebels. That swap took place under the cover of darkness, as you can see there, north of the separatist stronghold of Donetsk. This prisoner swap deal, though, came as Kiev said it was suspending train and bus services to Crimea. Although Russia now holds Crimea, the peninsula's only land connection is with Ukraine, and it has remained largely dependent on the Ukrainian mainland for its supplies. The global death toll from Ebola has risen to nearly 7,700 out of nearly 20,000 confirmed cases recorded in the year-old epidemic in West Africa. The World Health Organization says the death toll has risen by more than 150 since the previous numbers were released on Monday. Sierra Leone, which has overtaken Liberia as the country with the most infections, had counted well over 2,600 deaths as of Wednesday. The WHO adds that as of December 21st, 666 healthcare workers were known to have contracted the virus, and sadly well over half of them had died. Scientists believe the Ebola crisis, which claimed its first victim in Guinea just over 1 year ago, is likely to last until the end of 2015. Now, we are seeing the emergence globally of new forms of bacteria that are effectively untreatable. Each year, more than 2 million people are infected with drug-resistant superbugs, and it can take precious hours for conventional tests to determine whether a particular antibiotic will work on a certain bacteria. But there may be good news on the horizon, because researchers here in Korea believe they've found a way to slash that time and hopefully save lives. Kim Hyun-bin reports.
More and more bacteria are becoming resistant to existing antibiotics. It's requiring some patients to stay in the hospital longer, while others are even losing their lives because they missed the golden time for treatment. In order to choose the right antibiotics, doctors expose collected bacteria to various drugs to see which ones they are sensitive to. The problem is that it takes at least 16 hours to get an answer. A team of researchers at Seoul National University developed a new test method that requires only 4 hours to find out which antibiotics work best. Unlike the traditional test method, that relies solely on cell cultures, this new way uses a plastic chip that immobilizes each bacteria cell in a thick gel, allowing easy analysis on the changes they undergo under various antimicrobial conditions.
Traditional tests rely on the number of bacteria, and that takes relatively a long time, but the new test method shows individual cells dividing and changing shapes, which is a lot more accurate.
The local medical industry hopes this new test method will be helpful in urgent cases of infection and antibiotics resistance. The research results were published in this month's online edition of Science Translational Medicine. Kim Hyun-bin, Arirang News.
Now, before we go, leaving you with a brief look at the weather here in Korea. It's been much milder today compared to the last few days, but it's still going to be a cold night with the low dipping well below freezing in Seoul and most of the rest of the country as well. On Sunday, we are going to be under partly cloudy skies, and once again, it's going to feel pretty nice for the time of the year, with the high reaching a rather balmy 6 degrees Celsius in the Korean capital. Now, for our viewers overseas, let's take a look at the weather conditions in your part of the world.
I'm walking down the sunny side, laughing at the rain. I'm walking down the sunny side.
Well, that's all we have for now. Do enjoy the rest of your Saturday wherever you're watching us, and stay tuned to Arirang TV. We'll be back again with our next newscast at 10 p.m. Korea time. Until then, goodbye.